Good.
But while the world melts.
Yeah, well, you're doing me a favor.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our Village of Alsip board meeting. Today is March 16th, 2020, and we're going to call this meeting order at 7:39 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor Ryan. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zelinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez is absent this evening. Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Navas-Barza? Here. I'm sorry, Trustee McLaughlin.
I'm here.
I'm sorry. Trustee McLaughlin?
I'm here.
Thank you. Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, officers' report, starting with myself. I'll try and make this brief this evening. Obviously, we're all aware of the complications and many of the adjustments coming our way to combat and address the COVID-19 virus that's overwhelmed our country at this time. Today, many things were changing kind of by the moment, and this morning I drafted some materials to address some of the changes locally that the governor imposed yesterday afternoon. The biggest one is going to be the closing across the state of all of our bars and restaurants for the next couple of weeks. I did have a good meeting this past Friday afternoon with all of our department heads, and confirmed that all departments are prepared within their own personnel. Do we have enough equipment? Do we have enough gloves? Do we have enough everything that we need? And everyone confirmed that we did to meet our needs. And certainly the biggest thing that we all agreed on too is this is a time for calming. This is a time that we're going to really work with the community to not try and do our best not to stress anybody out. People have enough on their mind. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that may not work temporarily and stuff, and we really hope those families, we wish them the best. And should they struggle with maybe need some resources, you can certainly call the Village Hall and ask for me. I'm happy to help to see if I can help. Let's put it that way. We actually did get an executive order that I shared with all the trustees earlier late this afternoon that the governor signed. And I think it's just, I went over some of this with our attorney, Mike Kankar, and as far as interpretation, I think the thing that we need to understand is that all bars will be closed. As far as food is concerned, takeout restaurants, they're going to allow people into takeout restaurants, provided you provide ample, what's known as, boy, I've been using this word all day long yet too. Social distancing. You know, and sorry, you know, I've been using it a lot today. But they're recommending anywhere from 3 to 6 feet. No, it's almost, yeah, you know, like that thing, you know. So, yeah, they're recommending 3 to 6 feet, 6 ideally. I know my wife works for a division of a major corporation, and they said 2 to 6 feet is what they're shooting for. So, if these fast food restaurants can provide adequate space, and like I said, the 3 to 6 foot personal space for their patrons is what we're going to ask. I'm also including, while the onus is on the bars and restaurants to understand what's expected of them, I don't want anybody just to say they didn't know anything about it. So tomorrow, the health department is going to visit as many businesses for the next couple of days and inform the owners what's expected of them then too. They can still conduct curbside service and delivery services. It can still be done, but there's going to be no liquor served anywhere for the next couple of weeks. And I think we had one establishment in town that offered it. You know, the bar was part of it, but we cautioned them. It was like a pool hall scenario where you can operate your pool hall, but there would be no liquor sold here and whatnot then too. And this isn't just going to be a fine. We're going to come back and sticker the door if there's some. I'm not just identifying that one business, but every so often you've got businesses of that nature that you have to address. They're out of the ordinary. So we're going to try and help everybody the best we can.
And video gaming cafes are also suspended.
Right. All the video gaming is going to be suspended for the next couple of weeks as well, too, because
Is that purely because of the alcohol, or
it has to be
is
served.
that something separate?
Right, because alcohol had to be served, and because the bars are down, the video gaming will be down.
Because I'm thinking about Pilot.
Pardon me?
Pilot does not have a liquor.
They don't fall
The
under
gaming
purview.
was independent of a liquor.
Right, but the casinos are down too, and I believe the state controls it, so it's pretty much just a flip of the switch. The state's going to turn those machines off.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, we appreciate everyone's patience during a difficult time like this. And like I said, please, you can always address the Village Hall if you need. I had IT Manager Brian Massari today to update all of our websites, Channel 4. He's actually redoing the marquees at the Veteran Plaza and all the fire stations and whatnot. We're really stressing to everyone in the community to please call the Village Hall before coming down, or we're trying to reduce all physical contact if possible with everybody here at the Village Hall. And again, should anybody have any questions, please call my office. I get into my report here on the agenda. Number one was the approval of a resolution approving and adopting a sidewalk inspection, maintenance, and repair program for the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois. Number two was the approval to enter into an agreement with Warren Oil for implementing 2 new fuel tracking systems for village vehicles, where one will be installed at the gas pump and one will be installed at the diesel pump. At a cost of $5,000 for both. Warren Oil will charge 5 cents per gallon to all gas invoices and 10 cents per gallon to all diesel invoices on a separate line item known as tracking system payment until the cost obligation is met in approximately 2 to 2.5 years. And then third on the agenda was the approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 8 Civil Defense and Emergencies, Article 3, Mayor's Emergency Powers of Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip. That was something we had to introduce today because of the, Mike, what's the phrase I'm looking for too, with the act of, that the governor did with the executive order.
Executive order.
Yeah, to more or less so I can meet the executive order brought by the government, so I can act accordingly too. And there's language there that didn't include, like,
Yeah, I think Joe did the ordinance, but
Yeah.
I think it's explained it to me.
I didn't have it in
The
front of
only,
me here.
the ordinance did not provide for emergency mayor powers in the event of a,
epidemic. I believe.
epidemic or communicable disease
There
problem,
you
which
go.
is what we have here. So-
Right, it was just a language
So
thing.
we just
we were
basically
correcting.
added that to what you could declare as an emergency,
Exactly,
my understanding.
right. And was there any questions on that from the board? Because that was just done today. All right, then we'll go to the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Approval of the February 2020 FOIA report. There were 30 requests last month. Second is presentation and approval of the August 26th, 2019 special board meeting minutes, and presentation and approval of the March 2nd, 2020 Board of Trustee meeting minutes. That is all, Mayor Ryan.
All right, thanks. Attorney's report, we have Mike Henker.
No
with us.
reports, sir.
Okay, Mike. And the engineer was, actually, I'm sorry, I had asked Sinead to be here just for an insurance question, not yet too, but I did excuse all department heads tonight from tonight's meeting to reduce the amount of folks at this meeting.
Would you like me to read that into record?
The
The engineer's report?
Oh, no, I can see it. The engineer had submitted here, though, to approval of a resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code in the amount of $510,000 for the village's 2020, 2021 motor fuel tax general maintenance program, and that's all he had submitted then, too. So we had the public forum. Next, anyone in the public wish to address? Go ahead.
Hi, John. I wanted to let you know that Country House Restaurant has posted that they will deliver food to seniors, and the seniors can call in their orders there because they can't get around as much as most of us can. And
Okay.
in addition, they're handing out to people who might need it, big containers of soup to families. So I know that maybe some seniors will be looking at this, and I know that you go to Heritage every now and then. So they should know that Country House Restaurant, although they can't be open for seating, they are open to take deliveries and especially helping the senior citizens with food.
Thank you. Actually, I just got that message right before the meeting started, so thanks for bringing it up. I was going to bring it up under communication, but thank you very much. And we did include management over there and sent that to me, and they did send it to Sue Waddell, the management over at Zyler Management Company at the Heritages. It's not, we don't want to just key in on one group, but I'll certainly get the message out to our community
Well, I
tomorrow.
think that's the group that's in most need right now. Senior citizens.
Sure.
So, and also campus is offering, taking in orders, also phone orders and stuff.
Phone orders for like takeout and stuff? Okay, curbside? Okay. Thank you very much, Mary Grace. Now move on to standing committee reports. Finance Committee, Trustee McLaughlin.
First, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated March 13th, 2020, totaling $426,524.83. Next, I have a request for approval of accounts payable dated March 16th, 2020. From the recap, General Fund, $57,771.43. Road and Bridge, $79,493.95. MFT, $47,062.23. Water and Sewer, $783,934.88. And Heritage, $70,742.36, for a grand total all funds of $1,039,004.85. And that's all I have under Finance, Mayor.
Thank you very much. The next was the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy.
I have approval of the Fire Department February 2020 monthly activity report based on the National Fire Incident Reporting System. And number 2, approval of the Fire Department February 2020 monthly activity report based on the Fire Prevention Bureau. Number 3, I'm pulling as this event has been postponed. And the chief will speak to this at a later date.
Okay.
That's all I have, sir.
Which letter was that, Trustee?
J.
J.
Yeah, conferences going on in April is probably not a good idea at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Next, Police and Traffic Safety. Trustee Dalzell.
The approval of the Police Department 2019 report. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
Is either Trustee McLaughlin or Trustee Murphy, please?
No report this evening.
All right.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy.
Sewer and Water. Trustee Nava Esparza.
I have the approval of the Sewer and Water Department February 2020 monthly activity report, and that is all I have.
Okay. Building and Health Committee.
I'm here.
Or trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Zelinski, yeah.
We have an approval of the Building Department February 2020 monthly activity report, and second, I have an approval of the Health Department February 2020 monthly activity report also. That's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you. Human Resource and Insurance, Trustee Murphy.
I have approval to advertise requests for proposal regarding 4 insurance policies renewals for property, boiler and machinery, cyber and pollution for the Village of Alsip. Qualified brokerage firms or governmental insurance pools are asked to submit sealed proposals to the Village Clerk's office no later than 11 a.m. on Tuesday, May 26, 2020. The term of these coverages are 7/1/2020 through 6/30/2021. And that's all I have, sir.
Our Human Resource Manager is here this evening too, Shanae Hunter. Did anybody have any questions for Shanae on that? Okay, we had one other item to talk about, Shanae. I'll bring it up under new business for that then too, okay? Thank you. Next then, the Special Committee Reports, Economic Development, Trustee Nava Esparza.
I have approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip approving an agreement between the Village of Alsip and Barton Real Estate Holdings, Inc. for certain real estate transactions and the redevelopment of property located at 11638 through 58 South Pulaski Road, Village of Alsip, County of Cook, State of Illinois, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan and project approved for the Pulaski Road Corridor TIF for development project area. And that's all I have.
Thank you. So Kent just reminded me too, we had a good meeting last Wednesday with Matt Weil of the Firewater Development, and Matt came in and signed the redevelopment agreement per our approval. This will go back to him tonight, but he came in and signed the initial. But the footprint changed just a little bit, Kent, is what happened too, was what Matt's doing is he's actually increasing the size of the dining room just a little bit. And right now, our ordinance reads that you need one parking spot for every 2 seats. And what Matt wants to do is increase it to, what do you say, like maybe 170 seats?
Yeah, up to 170 seats.
So, right now, I think he said he's got the capacity for around 54 cars in there right now, right?
I don't remember. I do remember he said
Yeah.
that he's going to be short.
And so I'm doing a survey right now, and obviously today was just ridiculous, and with everything going on with the COVID-19 and a lot of the reports and so forth, I was really up to my elbows today. But I am looking at parking surveys for other communities just to see what their parking template is. And many of the communities around us actually all use you need one parking spot. I'm sorry, not one parking. Yeah, it's one for every 100 square feet of building is what it is. So if you've got a 6,000 square foot building, you're looking for 60 parking spots. So we're coming up just a little bit short, so we may have to modify Matt's plan a little bit with some seating, but he's trying to max out the seating in this then too. And this just came on us on Wednesday, so we didn't have much of a chance to address this because it just popped up. And, he made some points, like he does have some very successful businesses in other communities, like Geneva, for example, where he's got a multitude of seats in there and 0 parking, that kind of thing, where people are parking on, on business streets and stuff like that, yeah, too. But we're trying to stay, obviously, we're trying to stay uniform to our building code and so forth then, too, so.
Well, there may be some variability within the size of the parking spaces, which is something that planning and zoning might need to take a look at, because we do have certain widths assigned to the parking spaces, which for places, I know, I'm not sure if we actually did it at Home Depot or not, where we've narrowed the parking spaces in order to get more in.
Yeah, because I know
So
typically.
our code is very wide.
Yeah, typically they're like 8 by 10 spots per car, I know that, so, to get them in, so.
We have had some pushback in other times, too, in terms of that. So I think the mayor going out and trying to see where other communities are. This is not the only company that has said the one spot for every 2 chairs is a little bit on the excessive side from where things are now. So we're just trying to go out and see whether or not that makes sense. They are trying, as they point out, they're trying to make it very large to accommodate a lot of people for the residents to be able to have some dining choices. There were a few other changes in terms of both of the restaurants that look to be coming in would still be coming in, but one of them, it would not be shared seating. One of them looks to be more of a takeout place. And then there is 1 or 2 what we call white boxes, one of which would be probably a jewelry or diamond type jewelry store, and the other one may or may not be available depending on how much the takeout restaurant wants in terms of space.
Well, he's doing, overall, the building's going to be 6,000 square feet. And what he wants to do is he wants to do 3,800 square feet with the barbecue brisket restaurant. As Ken said, they're going to put a parcel next to him, or tentatively it's a jewelry store that's going in. And then on the end is going to be the Italian restaurant. He's going to be a takeout guy. He's going to be a takeout restaurant.
So that doesn't need the same number of spaces. A jewelry store doesn't need the same number of spaces. So the fact he's not going to be able to get it for his seating, the other ones probably aren't going to have the draw that he is. So there may not be as much need. So it needs to be looked at.
He feels that the beef brisket restaurant's going to dominate this thing, which is why he wants to increase the seats, which in turn increases what we take in here then too, through sales and so forth. So I think I believe it's still a great project to approve. Mike, do you think we need to do much with the language on that, like right now, as far as the parking is concerned or anything like that?
Well, if it's in your zoning ordinance, you got to amend the ordinance.
Right.
And or you got to have a hearing, so.
Okay. So if we were to approve this then tonight, Is it a contingent upon parking?
Well, his opening is contingent upon.
Right, but no, I don't think this is.
Right.
So you got time to figure out if you think the current requirements are too onerous, you can just change you do a text amendment to the zoning ordinance and go from there.
Okay.
So we have plenty of time.
Okay. Any questions from anybody?
I'm sorry, when you say we have plenty of time, does that mean still is your recommendation to approve this tonight and plenty of time? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Forge ahead.
Thank you. All right, Trustee Navas, anything else?
I just wanted to add that, just given the current economic climate, I was also looking for resources for our small businesses, and the U.S. Small Business Administration announced the Disaster Loan Assistance Program. I haven't had the time to look at it in depth, but I would suggest that our small business community look at the disaster loan assistance, and it's pertaining to the economic injury they might sustain given this chain of current events. But in the industrial side, I haven't come across anything similar to that, but I'm not sure if under SBA industrial businesses might be eligible for relief of any sort. And also on another note, the census, households have been receiving literature and so forth, so I understand that there's panic and there's, some confusion and personal, decisions that are trying to be made to soften the blow given what's happening now, but it is important for households to respond, and they can do so online or via telephone or mail in a form if they received one. And that's all I had.
Can I make one more point on that? The census forms have come, and especially with COVID-19 here, if you do not respond to the census form online when you get that, you are going to get a census taker coming knocking at your door. And they are going to be within 6 feet because they're going to be talking to you. The best thing you can do on both fronts is when you get that in the mail, and you either got it on Friday or Saturday or you're getting it today in all likelihood, is just to go online, go through it. They're fairly simple questions for your household. And by doing that and doing it in a timely manner, you are not going to get the knock on your door, which we're trying to minimize those kind of contacts with COVID-19 out there.
Trustee, can we comment yet on the grant opportunities that you're working on?
I believe those are somewhat on hold. We did submit the grant application, but I have to follow up with Victoria to see what they're going to do or if they're requesting that we modify our outreach efforts. I think the last email I received was for us to consider more social media engagement or more digital, marketing. And we haven't had a chance, yourself, Mayor, and with Kent, to kind of decide how we're going to move forward.
No problem. Thanks for your efforts on it. That's why I don't want to step over. I know you've been really getting into that with them, so, okay. Next is the village properties. Trustee McGlohorn.
I have no official report this evening, Mayor, but have we done anything to close the clubhouses at both complexes?
Yes. The Zeiler Management is dealing with that, and I actually did see a memo that she drafted today. It's going to be placed in all the buildings, and they are going to suspend bingo for right now and use of the clubhouses temporarily and stuff then too. So
I know I said they should be having their monthly meeting coming up.
Yeah.
And
They're gonna, that's
especially with the way the COVID's impacting the older population.
Yeah, and part of that, the executive order that we got today was the government's recommending no more than 50 people in a gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm saying both clubhouses will hold more than 50 people, not necessarily that many show up at a meeting, but we can't control it.
Yeah, they're going to be posting all that tomorrow in all the individual buildings.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Next was ordinance and legislation. Trustee Zelinski.
I have an approval of a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Alsip and the State of Illinois by and through the Illinois Department of Transportation to use shared funding to make improvements to Cicero Avenue, Illinois Route 50, at 115th Street and 122nd Street in the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, and appropriating funds for therefore. Second, I have approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 12, Foreign Fire Insurance Board of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip by changing Section 2-221, established, and deleting Section 2-222, officers, vacancies, election, and by deleting Section 2-227, Alsip Foreign Fire Insurance Tax Fund, rules and regulations. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. IT, Trustee Dalzell.
Your approval to consolidate the Information Technology Committee report with the Finance Committee report as IT works under the direction of the Finance Director, who could submit said report for IT as needed. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks. I know that was your recommendation. That's how I said. Is that how you wanted it said too?
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Next, Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee.
Trustee McLaughlin or Nava Esparza, please.
Approval of list of licenses dated February 14th, 2020 through March 6th, 2020. And then I also have approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a variation from Article 13, Industrial Light District I-1, Section 105, height limitations of the zoning ordinance, and Chapter 3, Advertising, Article 2, Signs, Section 3-30, location of signs in zoning districts of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip to allow a sign structure with a height not to exceed 75 feet on the property located at 12900 South Costner Avenue, Alsip, Illinois.
All right, thank you. Trustees, any petitions, presentations, or communications?
May I, Mayor?
Sure.
Just a reminder that early voting has been concluded here at Village Hall. You go to your regular polling places tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you do not know where your regular polling place is, you can go to ova.elections.il.gov, and you can enter your zip code and enter your street address, and then scroll and find your street name and hit submit, and they will tell you your polling place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I asked Human Resource Manager Shanae Hunter to be here tonight. Shanae, did you want to talk about an issue that came up today?
So with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, obviously, our employees are questioning the impact that it may have within the workplace. So I am getting a lot of questions regarding the continuation of pay or benefits if there is a need for the Village Hall to shut down. So, and Mary, I did send you an email recently that the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, it has been passed by House. It has not been passed by Senate yet. So they are looking for it to pass this week, which will provide employees with an expanded benefit for a Family Medical Leave Act, which is basically expanding their eligibility from 1 year of employment to 30 days. It's expanding the definition of family members. And also, FMLA is typically unpaid. This act will add some paid benefits to the FMLA, in addition to having an employer-mandated paid sick leave. So, again, the bill has not been technically passed through Senate yet. It has been passed through the House, but it is something for us to consider. Again, just even if we were to have an infected employee, or if there's a situation where the Village Hall has to completely shut down, we do have to have a contingency plan in place. Our brokers at Lion Mesro did provide us with a template for a communicable disease and illness policy. That is something that I have revised. I sent to the mayor as well as Trustee Murphy for review. And again, those are just things that I guess as a board you need to consider. Are we going to just uphold the federal? Are we going to allow for any additional benefits? And if there's a situation where we do have to close down and employees had scheduled vacations, what happens to that for that time? Do we allow for them to roll it over? Do they get a payout for it? Is it just a wash? These are just things that we have to consider, and employees are asking. So I just want to make sure that we're thinking collectively to come up with a game plan to so I can issue some type of formal response to our employees soon.
Did we get a definition yet of what triggers this event? What are the qualifiers is what I'm trying to say.
Well, there are a few things. So you have if someone is themselves infected, if they have the possibility of being infected, meaning that they were possibly exposed to someone, if they are themselves, so if the whole self-quarantine thing, if they have any type of child or adult dependent that they have to take care of, and due to school closures or facility closures, that qualifies as well. And any care for a family member or anyone who's under quarantine will qualify for that FMLA leave or sick paid leave.
All right, and I won't keep you, but were they saying, like, how does that, in other words, are we paying all that up front? I mean, in other words, if they're going to make that available to the entire state, and this is not just municipally, this is, in the private sector as well then, too. How is that being funded? In other words, how are those people going to get paid? We have to pay them up front and get reimbursed? Are they saying yet, or?
Well, I guess on the back end, they are looking at some, payroll tax credits for employers. However, say for example, a full-time employee, they're looking at basically awarding 80 hours of paid sick leave. And that will be in addition to whatever sick leave they have now. And they will be able to use that first, compared to maybe some employers may think you want them to use what they have first and then dip into that bank, but it's actually the reverse. They will use that 80 hours first, and then after that it will be, they have the choice. We can't mandate it. They have the choice to use any paid time that they want. Because there's also a flip side to it where they're saying any time after 14 days of the FMLA leave that they will get 2/3 of their pay. And mind you, FMLA is up to 12 weeks for a 1-year period. So, but again, nothing's final. So definitely once it is finalized, I just want to get that information out to employees. All of the policies that we have in place regarding sick leave will still apply as far as doctor documentation, things of that nature. But again, these are things that they're inquiring about, so I would definitely like to get them an answer soon.
This is really uncharted territory, too. I talked with Attorney Kankar earlier this afternoon, and just about interpretation of, like I say, a few businesses in town, just even to get through this executive order. But much like what you and I had talked about earlier, too, I mean, there's going to be a lot of bullet points here, and, because you could literally, not just here, but I'm speaking for 850 businesses in town, you can get the whole place to just get up and say, I'm going home, and the whole place shuts down. And so obviously, that's what we're saying is how strong criteria is going to be, how much documentation is going to be required and whatnot. So everyone's got to understand it up front before they make that decision, and then all of a sudden not have what the criteria is to meet the standard then too. So
absolutely,
but I appreciate you obviously following through on this, and we can't do anything until the Senate approves this then too, apparently, right?
Correct. But again, as a village, if there's things that you may want to consider outside of that, by all means, we can do that too, because I don't know how fast this thing is going to get approved. Hopefully it gets approved before we have an incident, or hopefully we don't have an incident and all that we have to deal with. But it's just, again, I would like to be more proactive than reactive in this kind of situation.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, Mike, but
You're here.
this is easier than me dialing you up tomorrow.
I should. That's my phone.
Yeah, no, I told you.
And we're going to need you to talk into the microphone.
The bill is like 100 pages long, and it deals with food eligibility for. It's very complicated, and I skimmed it, and I'd rather not say anything than say something that is not correct.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and it's not really, and this references that, and it's really.
I guess my question was more so, I don't know if it would be recommended at this time that the village get in front of a bill like that then too? Like, is that what you're
Well,
suggesting?
that's what I think we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can only, there's only so many hours in a day, and there's so many things you got to worry about.
And that's the thing, because every day I mean, I'm getting new scenarios from different employees, and I mean, obviously it's good because you get the wheels spinning, but yeah, it is one of those things where it's a lot of what ifs.
But, if I may interject, you talk about how this thing is really changing. And in my line of work, it's literally changing every 6 hours. We're always proposed with new scenarios on how to serve the public, new protective measures. It even came out today that if any of our employees are calling off sick, erring on the side of caution, that they are required to immediately see a doctor to be cleared if they have symptomatic symptoms of this, and they cannot return to work per client's request also, that they cannot return to work without a doctor's note clearing them that they were tested that they do not have this. Because obviously, if you're sick and you have it, and you're going to come back to work the next day and infect the entire population. So
what she's saying though too is you could have a qualifying event just simply because, let's say the children are off for the next 2 weeks, and you have no other way to care for these kids or something like that you're going to have to be off for 2 weeks with them. We have 160 employees here in the village. Do we have the funding to cover 160 employees for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Paying them now.
you're paying them now.
Yeah.
You absolutely do. Will you get the productivity you thought you were going to get this year? No, you will not.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say, I said that wrong. What I meant is, we've got the money to pay them, but obviously you still got, like Sinead says, there's actually a lot of employees right now actually still taking time off. That's just going to be pushed back or whatever then too, because this is going to get in front of that.
Well, you also,
If it passes.
she's right on the vacation. You also, if someone had a vacation scheduled, there's no vacation now, and you were going to run out of vacation time before April 30th, that could come back to you.
Right, that's all I was getting at, because there's quite a few people
We're
taking time
obligated
off.
to allow them to take their vacation. We're not obligated to make sure that their vacation is there. If they take off a week, they can still take off a week. Might not be at the place that they wanted to because of the circumstances.
Staycation.
Well, I'm just saying is that,
It's got to have
the
better
airlines are
planning.
still working.
Right.
It's the person's choice to whether they want to sit there and do that or not, and it's a personal choice.
I think where we run it, and hopefully it doesn't come to this either, but obviously we do provide essential services to the community, and so hopefully it doesn't come to the point where we can't man the village and so forth then too. That's my only concern. I want to make sure we're strong and that we're staffed strong and so forth. So.
And there will be some services that could be curtailed for a period of time, but obviously not the essential services, hopefully.
Right. That's what I meant by my question, is just because I do know we've got, it happens every year at this time of the year, everybody that didn't use their time
Crunch.
off, and all of a sudden you're off for the next couple of weeks on this, and that's going to be extended going past that and stuff then too. So we might have to come, as Trustee Dawes also, we might have to kind of requalify some of that then too. So, depending on the need, we gotta get people back in here at some point then too. So. Anybody else? Anything else you need to share?
I just had one question. I don't know if it's appropriate now, but about there are talk about changes to the Open Meetings Act and whether or not these meetings make sense.
I apologize. Well, that's what I sent to everybody earlier. As of today, too, part of the executive order said they are suspending all the rules for Open Meetings Act, that we can conduct conference calls, and you do not have to necessarily be in attendance. I reached out to everybody earlier. If you didn't see it, I apologize, but I sent everybody a late email this afternoon. And the same thing holds true for, what was the other part of that? Video attendance, conference calls are fine with the Open Meeting Act. I don't have my notes in front of me right now.
Electronic attendance.
Pardon me?
Electronic attendance.
Right. So all that's been suspended right now, so we can do as necessary and stuff then too.
Just so everyone knows, you do have, and it is in the village code if you want to look it up, a prior board has elected to allow electronic and phone attendance, I believe. So there are rules associated with that. It is in the village code. It's something that a board would have had to have done. The village of Alsip already has that in its village code.
But that's what we're saying, that's suspended. You don't have to say that you're actually not available because of work. It's for whatever reason, you're at home doing your thing and stuff
Right,
right
but
now, so.
you still, I believe, still had to have that option in your code. You have that option in your code already.
They also,
Prior board.
they were also saying as far as attendance, they were going to limit it no more than 50 people attending a gathering or a meeting of any type. We didn't meet that tonight, so.
So we need somebody standing at the door with a clicker, and as soon as we hit 50...
It's like the old days.
Hopefully.
Be the bouncer at the door, yeah, so. But anyway, I think we're trying to wrap up here, so.
I'm sorry, some of the other northern suburbs were limiting it to 20
Okay,
people, as a point of reference.
thank you. Did anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, can I get a motion then to establish the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Again, J's been removed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Roll call number 1 to establish the consent agenda as presented. Letter J as in jump has been removed because the conference is being postponed. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas-Barza.
Yes.
Motion carries to establish.
Can I get a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Wow, different voices. Sorry. Okay, roll call number 2 to approve the consent agenda. Letter A, approval of a resolution approving and adopting a sidewalk inspection, maintenance, and repair program for the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, will become resolution number 2020-03-R-1. Letter C is in Charles, approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Civil Defense and Emergencies, Article 3, Mayor's Emergency Powers of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip, will be ordinance number 2020-03-4. Letter G is in George, approval of a resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code in a total amount of $510,000 for the village's 2020-21 MFT General Maintenance Program, will be resolution 2020-03-R-2. H is in Henry, approval of a list of payroll dated March 13th, 2020, totaling $426,524.83. I is in Indigo, approval of a list of accounts payable dated March 16th, 2020, totaling $1,039,004.85. Next, we go down to item L as in Larry, approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip approving an agreement between the Village of Alsip and Barton Real Estate Holdings for certain real estate transactions and the redevelopment of property located at 11638-58 South Pulaski Road, Village of Alsip, County of Cook, State of Illinois, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan and project approved for the Pulaski Road Corridor TIF redevelopment project, will be ordinance number 2020-03-5. Approval of a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Alsip and the State of Illinois by and through the Illinois Department of Transportation to use shared funding to make improvements to Cicero Avenue, Illinois Route 50 at 115th Street and 122nd Street in the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, and appropriating funds thereof, resolution number 2020-03-R-3. Approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 12, Foreign Fire Insurance Board of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip by changing Section 2-21, Established, and by deleting Section 2-222, Officers, Vacancies, Elections, and by deleting Section 2-227, Alsip Foreign Fire Insurance Tax Fund, Rules and Regulations, ordinance number 2020-03-6. And finally, approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a variation from Article 13, Industrial Light District, I-1, Section 105, height limitations of the zoning ordinance, and Chapter 3, Advertising, Article 2, Signs, Section 3-30, Location of Signs in Zoning Districts of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip to allow a sign structure with height not to exceed 75 feet on the property located at 12900 South Costner Avenue, Alsip, Illinois. Ordinance number 2020-03-7. Again, roll call number 2 to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee Dalzell.
Would you go over those again?
No, thank you. It's on videotape.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
Clerk, I would like to vote no to letter Q, as in Quincy, because I hate billboards and hate them with a passion. And I will say yes to everything else.
Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin, for the clarification. Trustee Murphy.
I just wanted to make sure J was pulled.
J was removed,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy. Trustee Navas-Sparza.
Yes.
Motion carries again. Trustee McLaughlin voted yes to all except item number Q, as in quick. She voted no.
All right, thank you. Trustees, any unfinished business?
I wanted to just say a couple of things. Chief Stasinski last week was talking about hiring 2 firemen, and he said doing it would benefit us $10,000 to $12,000 as far as training goes. And being that the list is almost diminished, I was talking to him, and possibly, maybe for next week we could talk about, or
2 weeks.
in 2 weeks, I'm sorry, we could talk about possibly hiring 3 instead. I asked him if it was, and he did say at one time we used to do this. We had even more people on the fire department, and if we had an additional fireman, we would be able to save an additional $10,000 to $12,000 for training as far as that person goes. But also, it would alleviate some of the overtime, and I asked him about how much overtime was spent in a year, and ballparking it, he said about $300,000 in overtime. So if, this person, before a third one is going to be leaving, even if it was only 3 months or so, that would still save us about another $75,000. So we're talking about $100,000 in savings over the first 3 months of hiring 3 instead of 2. And that way he would also be able to start a new list. So
he said we used $300,000 in overtime last year?
He said it was close. He didn't give me an exact number. He said somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $300,000.
Okay, my guesstimate was less than that, but yeah, we'll do an overtime survey. One thing that was a little bit of a concern to me, though, too, is while we've already got minimal manning, and I understand what you're saying, by bringing on an extra employee,
it would basically be a floater.
Yeah, but even then, you got. I think that the tricky part for me is when you've got 3 shifts, and let's just say he's on gold shift or something like that, he still can't work for 2 more days, so he's still a gold shift guy regardless and stuff then too. In other words, I think all you're doing is, like I said, we'll have to really do a study on this, because I've always I thought of that idea years ago, and it seemed like it never shook out, because what we did was all we did was just increase personnel. Right now we're mandated at least 8 people per shift.
And I was going to have him speak to it on it tonight, but I didn't know, obviously, a week ago that this was going to be like this. And
bigger departments can afford. Obviously, Chicago. I've got a couple of friends that do a Chicago Fire Department. They float from shift to shift, but they've got such a big staff. I mean, for smaller departments, it might be tough. We'll have to look at that.
And he would also be able to give us, better points of why this would benefit. So,
all right.
In the past, he's given us an Excel spreadsheet that clearly identifies the cost and the savings. And it was something that we had asked for before. So my recommendation is that he provides it again.
Sure. I wanted to stand corrected, too, with unfinished business. I said the word monies. What I meant was personnel. I'm fried. This has just been a big day today. I mean, I got here early this morning. We did a lot of stuff. I didn't leave the office all day here for anything, but what I meant was, I didn't mean money. I said, do we have enough people to go around, I guess is my thing. Not money, but people. That's what my concern is just to make sure how the qualifiers would be should they have to take advantage of this. And I'm certainly not denying anybody if they feel that they need that particular benefit, but I'm just really concerned that we stay at full strength, that we don't diminish, obviously, services to the community and stuff then, too. And I would never hang that on anybody, per se, but I just want to make sure we have enough people and how we manage that. I guess that's my biggest question. As Trustee Kankar said, there's 100 pages of what...
Another promotion.
Pardon me?
Another promotion.
Yeah.
Trustee Kanker.
No, I do that all the time. Yeah. Attorney Kankar mentioned that, how we get through this and stuff then too. What are the qualifiers and what do we need to meet to get there? And again, I understand that the Senate still has to approve this, but I don't know that we jump in front of that, or, and if we do, we have to take a vote on it, which we're not prepared to do this evening, because this conversation started just a couple hours ago. So, if we do, we're going to need a board meeting of some type, emergency type of one, in order to get that done. Okay. All right.
May I ask, Kent, could you ask Heather to update the list of auto pay checks on the list on the front of the envelope, on the folder that she routes? There's the rental for the front end loader, which I know we're not renting anymore because I think we just purchased one. And then Constellation Energy is still on there, and I believe we switched now over to AEP. Thank you.
Any new business?
I just had one more thing. March 8th was a soft opening for Deuces. Went to their grand opening on Monday. Obviously, what's unfortunate is a beautiful place. I mean, everything looks shiny, brand new. It's very clean in there. I mean, it looks really, really nice. Mm. And what's unfortunate is this coronavirus. It's a liquor place. So after being only open for 1 week,
I haven't had a chance to talk to Anna Marie or anybody over there, but I agree with you. I showed it to a neighbor friend of mine during the week. We stopped over there. I went there for that soft opening.
Yeah, I seen the pictures from you.
Yeah,
but,
and
I know we talked about it for months before it even opened, that it was coming, and it just...
Yeah, no, I feel bad for those folks, and actually over the weekend, they actually put up a tent out in the backyard there to try and promote the St. Patrick's thing, and because of the weather, it didn't take off either, so... like anything else, everybody takes the lumps, and it's certainly, I feel horrible for everybody at large right now. You and I talked about this before the meeting. Many jobs, you could be in the service industry, like food and so forth, and maybe not be able to work for the next couple of weeks. So that's, like I said earlier, this is really a time of calming, and we're going to support the community the best we can right now then, too. So, can I get a motion then to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Please stay healthy, everybody. And again, our next meeting is at the end of the month on the 30th?
March 30th.
30th. Okay, thank you. We'll
Adjourn the meeting at 8:32 p.m.
Right.